Okay, I'm using just regular bread flour. This is a recipe that I was given by a little Mexican lady in Corpus Christi, Texas. She was my neighbor. Her name was Jovita, and she was precious. She loved to share her food and her ideas with me. And she had 2 children and a husband, and they lived right across the street from us, so we enjoyed getting to spend time together. So I'm just going to mix in the bread flour. You can use any plain flour, but I thought I would try it with bread flour this time, so we'll just kind of see what happens. So anyway, I'm using 3 cups of plain flour, and like I said, this is bread flour. My preference is King Arthur or White Lily, but they didn't have any when I went to the store, so I had to settle for just a name brand like this. So, okay, I'm going to use a whisk to mix it up, and I've got 3½ teaspoons of, or a tablespoon and a half, however you want to measure it, of baking powder. No need to use soda in this because we're going to use hot water instead of any kind of milk. All right, I've got 3 cups of flour, and I have 3½ teaspoons of baking powder and 1½ teaspoon of salt. Now I'm going to add my shortening to this. I like to get it in the little resealable bars because I don't use very much of it. I mostly use butter or olive oil, or I've even been known to substitute sour cream or cream cheese for some recipes. Okay, so I'm going to use 6 tablespoons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tablespoons of shortening. You can buy a butter flavor shortening like this too, but for things like biscuits and the tortillas like this, the plain shortening works just as well. Now, since I was a child, I've always hated to get my hands messy. I have to get them messy in a few minutes, but this is a part that I really don't like to do. So I'm just going to use a pastry blender and blend in the shortening to my flour mixture. And you want to blend it until it looks like cornmeal. And you know you've got it incorporated well when it begins to look mealy. Clean off my pastry blender just a little bit because it clings to it when you first put it in. So it's good to clean it off and get all the shortening off of the blades so you can incorporate it well. It's looking good. You may want to zoom in and kind of see how it's beginning to look. Like I said, you want it to look like cornmeal. And also, as it looks like cornmeal, it kind of hold together like that. That's how you want it to begin to look. Okay, now I'm just going to turn my hot water on, and I want it to get good and hot. And this is the messy part. But it's really the only way you can do it because it's got to go in with really, really hot water. Keep in mind, Jovita, her husband didn't even speak English. She had to speak for all of them. She had 2 children. One was Nuno and one was Bebe. But actually their names were Jessica and I don't know what Nuno's name was, but they called him Nuno, which means junior, so it was probably Jesse, like his dad. So their kids were Jesse and Jessica. Yeah, that's right, that's what it is. So, still not quite hot enough. I used to make these when the children were little. I would make them for a snack sometimes on a Sunday afternoon or Saturday evening after we had dinner. The problem was I couldn't make them fast enough. All of them ate it really, really well, really quick. Put butter on them, and it was just a real treat. It was kind of like a big flat biscuit. Alright, that's looking just about right. Griddle, that's pretty well seasoned, and that's what I use to put all of to bake my tortillas and my French toast and anything that is, that needs just a good flat cooking surface. So I'm going to set this on high for right now, just to let it get hot really fast. And then when it's plenty hot, I'll test it. And when it's hot enough, we'll turn the heat down just a little bit because you want to bake them quickly. And you want it to have just a little bit of a brown consistency on the top where it bubbles. Makes a pretty little edge on it. Okay, here we go. Make me a well down in the center. And this is kind of a quick process. Just incorporate it. You want it to be soft, but not sticky. And just keep dipping it in the water. You can see it's beginning to kind of form a nice dough. Turn that down just a little bit. I don't want that high. And you want to work fairly quickly because that baking powder is activated once you begin adding liquid to the flour. It begins to activate the baking powder. And I just kind of work it around the edges until I get all the way around. And you say, well, why not just put it in a container and pour it? But you can't be consistently hot enough to do that. Because when we get done, we're going to knead it just for a little bit and then let it rest while the griddle begins to heat up good. So you can tell it's the consistency of it. You want it to be just about like that when you get it done. This is a meal that when my children all come in for holidays and we've had a big Thanksgiving or Christmas meal, we like to do chili and Mexican rice and tortillas the next night just to have something a little different. A lot of people do pizza, but my kids always have liked the chili and the Mexican rice and homemade tortillas. So here we go. It's looking good. Looking good. This is takes a little bit longer because I'm making a 1.5 times recipe, so I'll have plenty of tortillas to go around tonight because I've got my son and his wife and 7 of their 8 children here. We miss our oldest one. He had to work tonight. That's what happens when kids get older. Okay, we're almost done incorporating it. Just a little bit left on the edges. When it's picked all that up, and we will be done. So I'm trying to be real careful not to get too much water in it now. This is just a quick okay, I'm going to turn that off. Just turn the stove down just a little bit. Okay. Alright. Got a little bit of flour left in my sifter, so the rest of this flour and pour it in here and mix it up now. Don't want to go to all that trouble and leave flour unused, right? So I'm kneading it. Get off my hands. I told you it's messy. Super messy. And this is against my nature to let my hands be like this. I hate for my hands to be messy. Okay. That's pretty good. Pull all this together. And we'll knead it just for a few minutes. Because we've been playing with this dough for quite a while now, so after we've got everything incorporated and it's nice and soft, you can tell how it's supposed to look, to feel just by how it looks. Okay, it's coming together pretty good now. It's getting smooth. Everything's been incorporated, so it's a nice, smooth, soft dough. Okay. Now, I'm going to take my dough bowl, just turn it upside down, and we'll let it rest for about 10 minutes. Yeah, it's not bothering my seasoning any on the pan. Okay, so now I need to check the heat, make sure it's plenty hot enough. Yeah, it's sizzling, kind of dancing around a little bit. That's what you want. Okay, so here we go with the dough. It's rested for a few minutes, which is good. And I'm going to need to sprinkle a little bit of flour on the surface. What I like to do is squeeze it and pluck off a little piece about as big as a golf ball. And roll it. Flatten it out just a little bit. Flour my just turn it over and over and over until I've got a nice thin circle. And you can see it's elastic because it keeps going back, which is good. You want it to be that way. Sometimes they're not real round, but that's all right. That's how they taste. Okay. So here's the first one going on the griddle. That's about one. A little bit over here. Here's the first one. See how it's got that nice bubble in it? The little speckles on top. I'm going to take a clean tea towel. Start taking them up. I'll cover it just to keep it warm and moist. Plugging off another one. Make a little golf ball out of it. And I like to sort of move the flour off. Okay, that one looks good. You can put that one on. Tortillas are a labor of love. You have to really enjoy seeing other people enjoy them to go to all this trouble, but it really is worth it. The alarm goes off every time you make them.